All right, everybody. Welcome to Clear Start Mondays. I'm John Heyman, your host. Each Monday, we're going to do three simple things here at Clear Start Mondays. We ground our nervous system, we write a few direct questions, and we leave with one clear move for the week. You will not be put on the spot. You don't have to turn your camera on, and you don't have to share anything out loud for those of you that are live with us today. This is not group therapy. This is not a hustle session. It's not even a motivational speech. This is a reset. You're here to be a human with a pen and paper and a nervous system that's probably tired. Tonight's theme is the quiet momentum. Before we talk about anything, before we think about anything, let your body just arrive. Take a few deep breaths. Let the air around you go into your lungs and fill you up, and then exhale. I want to invite you to close your eyes. Let your breathing return to normal. Feel your feet on the ground. Locate your big toe on one foot. Notice your big toe on your other foot. See if you can find your pinky toes. Go ahead and wiggle all of your toes for me. Notice all the points that your body is touching, whatever you're sitting on. Unclench your jaw. Relax your face and your skull. Roll your shoulders and drop them. Take one long, slow breath in through your nose and notice the sensation of air as it hits your nostrils. Pause briefly at the top. Exhale gently through your mouth, noticing the sensation of air leaving your lips. Good. Most people start their week already reacting, already solving, already bracing. If you notice that in yourself, nothing has gone wrong. This grounding practice is how we set the pace for clarity. There's nothing to achieve tonight, nothing to perform. You don't have to be on. Just be here. I want to invite you to a visualization, and I'm going to request that you keep your eyes closed if that feels comfortable for you. Imagine your mind as a snow globe. Inside the glass, thoughts, worries, stress, things outside of your control, other people's moods, the what ifs in your life, they're the snowflakes inside. All week long, that snow globe has been getting stirred up without us realizing it. Every notification, every responsibility, every demand, every interruption, every interaction that you've taken on emotionally, and every moment that you felt rushed, behind, or overwhelmed is a plate. I want to invite you to picture setting that snow globe down gently, easily. Hands off. There's no more effort, just stillness. Watch the pieces float and fall, one by one. Let them settle, each piece drifting down, resting on the bottom. Notice the moment that the last flake falls. The water becomes clearer, not because we've forced anything, but because we've stopped stirring it. If your globe hasn't settled yet, that's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. We are just noticing. Now ask yourself quietly, what am I carrying into this session that I do not need right now? Whatever comes up, just name it. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to understand it. Just admit that you're carrying it, and for this session, gently set it down beside you. I'd like to invite you to come back to the room and open your eyes. Tonight, we are working with the quiet momentum. There's a misunderstanding most people carry about progress. We're conditioned to associate movement with intensity, high energy, strong motivation, dramatic shifts, big visible changes. If improvement feels powerful or effortful, we assume something meaningful is happening. If it feels calm, subtle, or ordinary, we assume nothing is changing. But our human systems don't actually work this way. Most sustainable forms of progress are quiet. They don't feel explosive. They don't feel urgent. They often don't feel dramatic at all. Because real change is usually not the result of pushing harder. It's the result of less internal resistance. When friction decreases, when you stop fighting yourself over managing your experience or constantly evaluating your performance, movement becomes smoother. And smoother movement is quieter movement. There is less struggle to feel, less tension to notice, less drama to signal that progress is occurring. Ironically, the absence of strain can make people believe that they've stalled. But the system may actually be functioning more efficiently than before. Maybe we just didn't notice. Momentum does not require intensity. Intensity is loud. Momentum is simply continued movement. And continued movement often feels steady, normal, and it's almost easy to overlook. Tonight is about recognizing that quiet momentum is not weak momentum. It is often the most stable form of change because it is no longer fueled by pressure. So go ahead and grab your writing utensils. We're going to employ the same rules as always. We're not looking for the right answer. We're looking for the honest answer. Question 1. How do I usually decide that I'm making progress? Be honest and concrete. Do you look for big, visible changes? Strong motivation? High energy? Dramatic results? Many people only count movement when it feels intense or obvious. Write down the signals that you normally rely on to decide things are working. I'm going to put 3 minutes on our timer here. So how do I usually decide that I'm making progress? you look for big visible changes, strong motivation, high energy, or dramatic results? For me, it's always dramatic results and big visible changes. Those are the signals that I usually rely on to decide if things are working. What about you? Just under a minute to go here. Remember, we're not looking for the right answer. We want the honest answer. How do I usually decide that I'm making progress? All right. Question 2. Where might quieter forms of change already exist that I tend to overlook or dismiss? Quiet progress often looks like recovering faster from stress, less internal conflict, slightly easier decisions, less urgency with more steadiness. These shifts are real, but subtle. Write down 1 or 2 examples of quieter movement that may already be happening. Where is change happening without drama? Put another 3 minutes up here. Where might quieter forms of change already exist that I tend to overlook or dismiss? What came up for me was how I speak to myself, that I recover from problems faster, and I do not emotionally overinvest in information that happens or information I receive when something does happen. Those are pretty solid wins for me that I didn't really notice until I looked at it here. What about you? whatever comes up for you. Question 3. What would change if I stopped expecting progress to feel intense? How would your week feel if steadiness and subtle improvement were considered valid forms of movement? Write down one perspective shift that you could experiment with. Whatever comes up. We're going to put 3 minutes back on the clock here. What would change if I stopped expecting progress to feel intense? How would your week feel if steadiness and subtle improvement were considered valid forms of movement? Write down one perspective shift that you could experiment with. Just about a minute to go here, and I want to share with you what I wrote down. I wrote down that I would be able to recognize the subtle good habits that I've developed and really celebrate the accomplishments of existing in those good habits and the ground that I've made towards achieving my goals. And my week would feel awesome. What about you? Excellent. Very nice, very nice. So I want to name something clearly. Momentum is not defined by how loud it feels. It is defined by how little resistance is present. When pressure decreases, movement often becomes quieter, not weaker. Less struggle, less friction, less urgency. This is not stagnation, it is efficiency. Quiet momentum is often more sustainable because it does not depend on tension for fuel. It continues because you are no longer fighting yourself. Our anchor phrase this week is not about generating momentum. It's about trusting movement that feels quiet or ordinary. Choose something that reflects that understanding as your anchor phrase. Quiet does not mean stuck. Steady is still movement. Nothing extra is required. Calm progress still counts. Use your phrase when your mind tries to invalidate your subtle movement forwards. Just notice them. These little moments, just noticing them is a win. We're not trying to create change, but we're trying to stop arguing with it and actually validate ourselves. I'm going to put a minute on the timer here and choose one of these phrases that you want to validate yourself with when you recognize that you have been making momentum this week. All right. Tonight, you did something that most people never do. You took the time to bring attention to how you notice progress. Many people unknowingly recreate pressure by believing progress must feel dramatic or intense. But sustainable movement is often quiet. It's easy to overlook. It's easy to underestimate. And it's not often that we stop and validate ourselves for the actions and efforts that we're making, especially when they're not loud and explosive. Your work this week is not to push momentum. It's to notice where movement is already happening without urgency or strain, and then validate yourself. Quiet does not mean stuck. Quiet often means you are no longer forcing. This is the rhythm of Clear Start Mondays. We reset, we write, and we leave with one clear move for the week. If, as you keep coming to Clear Start Mondays, you notice you want to go deeper into this work, the mind's own habit system is where we systematically unwind the mental loops that keep you stuck and build new ones that actually support you. If you want a structured mental fitness framework, I also involved in positive intelligence. We use the saboteur assessment to quickly identify what's running your system and simple daily practices to help you step out of the stress patterns as they arise. And if you would like some focused one-on-one personal support, I also offer direct life coaching, where we work specifically with what's happening in your life right now. But for tonight, you don't have to decide anything. Just know that these doors exist if and when you're ready. Thank you for being here. Your attention this week is simple. Notice the moment you feel relief and acknowledge it with your anchor sentence. You don't need to do this perfectly. Just once on purpose is enough. I believe in you, and I trust your capacity to keep choosing what supports you. I'll see you next Monday.